Chapter 4, we're going to show you some fun with the wheels. We're going to do keyboard shortcuts. And first thing I'm going to do is drop down to the user chart number 1 so that I can play around. We provide a lot of different things. You've seen the day per year. Command D and Command L changes it to day per lunation. Command Y changes it for lunation per year. Now, if you happen to like arc directed, try Command A, and that switches it into solar arc directed. It does not change the time, but it just switches the type of chart that's on the outer ring. You can do this in a bi-wheel or a tri-wheel or a single wheel, but it's the outer wheel that is always impacted. Now, let's say, okay, solar arc directed, that's nice, but gee, give me my transit back. Well, transit begins with a T, and you might have guessed by now, Command T or Control T for Windows users brings you right back to the transit, and notice we've moved to the transit location in this case is the same as the birth location or the place that it happened. Now, there are some other additional features we can do. Let's say we want to get rid of the outer ring. And you notice that in the menu, I have clear. And if I had a progression here, or I would just go to a harmonic chart, we could go to middle and add a transit if we wanted to. That's one way of doing this. Now, if we want to clear the outer ring, well, clear begins with a C. You guessed it, Command C. We just cleared the outer ring. What is a little less intuitive is the word we're using for adding an outer ring. We use E for expand. So Command E, and notice we've put a transit on the outer. So I'm going to clear that out again. So we've got a birth chart for the jetliners hitting the World Trade Center. And let's say we want to put up a day per year on the middle and then a transit on the outer. If we hit E for expand, we get a transit on the outer here. Then we switch that to a Command D, so now I've got day per year on the outer, and hit Command E one more time. We've put the transit on the outer, and we have moved the day per year to the middle. And if you wonder why they all look the same, it's because they're all looking at the same time. If we bring it into right now, you now see the charts have moved. And if we move them over here with our time device, and we move them in time, you notice that the day per year chart and the transit are both moving. And if we had a chart on the middle that was, say, solar arc directed, and we'll just change that to, we'll make it Mercury arc directed for the fun of it. And we go back down and we set the wheel in motion. And you'll notice the minutes are changing here. All 3 rings are moving in time. Even your house cusps are moving because the house cusps are set to the inner ring at all times. Now, I mentioned again before about the favorites levels. Command 3 brings up your favorites level 3, all the charts that are associated with favorites level 3, and you can do that all the way up to 8 and 9, and that's as far as you go. Now notice I've got Capel-McCutcheon set here as the first one, and it gets automatically highlighted. So I'm going to close this screen and come back to it. And let's say I want to put Capel-McCutcheon. Well, first let's clear this down. And I want to put Capel-McCutcheon on here. And so what I do is I hit Command 9 and Enter, and bingo, I've got Capel-McCutcheon, and I'll clear the other chart, and I'll expand it back out with the transit, and all of a sudden we're looking at Capel-McCutcheon with a transit. And you saw how fast we could bring that up. So particular charts that you use all the time, you can give them their own favorite level, 1 through 9, and just hit them, as I did, Command 9, Enter, bingo, you've got your birth chart. Now there's another set of features you can do. Let's say you want to play around with two different birth charts. So we'll bring up another birth chart, and I'm going to bring up the Astrological Society of Connecticut because Capel McCutcheon was one of its co-founders. And this is a birth chart, even though it's a group rather than an individual. And you can play with this and you can form a composite chart. Now a composite, since it's basically midpoints, you cannot save it, you cannot do progressions on it, you can only have it as it is. And when you're done with it, you go down to reverse composite, takes you back to where you were, Capel McCutcheon on the inner, Astrological Society of Connecticut on the outer. If you prefer the relationship charts, you can do a relationship chart. Now this is effectively the averaging of the two charts, and we do use the Great Circle method for calculating latitude and longitude, so it is the accurate latitude and longitude. You can save this by going to outer and save if you wish to, and you can operate on it. Once it's saved, it's a regular birth chart. Once it's a birth chart, it can have progressions, it can have arc directed, it can have harmonics, what have you, whatever you want to put on it. And if you are tired of it, you can go down and reverse it back to the two charts that we had. And then I'm going to go back to the transit, and I'm going to show a few more things that you can do. We have, if you get around to it in time, you may find that you enjoy the node cycle ones. So we use the Alt or Option key for day per node cycle. And you probably guessed that if you hit Option L, you get lunation per node cycle, and Option Y, year per node cycle. Now some of these you'll notice the derived time is red, and there's a reason for that. And it's easiest to show in the lunation per node cycle. The north node, as you may know, it goes forward and it goes backwards a ways and it goes forward some more, and actually it goes eventually more backwards than forwards relative to the planets. So if you watch this chart move in time, you'll see a very interesting thing. It slows down, it speeds up, it goes backwards, because as time moves forward, the ratio of the lunation cycle relative to the node cycle is constantly changing, because the node cycle is not a constant. And this lunation per node cycle I find a very interesting chart because it's a double moon chart, so it has a lot to do with endings. And it suggests a very interesting idea that some endings have to be done twice. You watch this midheaven jumping up and down, or 3 times, and some things end very quickly and on it goes. But I will leave that to the user to play with. The last of the keyboard shortcuts, actually not the last, we have one other I haven't shown. I'm going to put the ASC back up here on the outer. Here we have Capel McCutcheon and the ASC, but let's say you wanted to look at it backwards. R for reverse. Now we've got the ASC on the inner, and we've got Capel McCutcheon, and so the house structure is now based on the Astrological Society of Connecticut. And you can just reverse those back and forth to your heart's desire, whatever you wish. And lastly, when you get around to dealing with chart sets, and for example, we had the Lincoln being shot. If we still have that chart, we've messed up that chart. Let's go to Lincoln being killed, finally dying. You can save this. Let's say you want to send this chart to a friend who is using Intrepid. You could just do Alt-0, and now you see a list of user charts. These can be single wheel, bi-wheel, or tri-wheel. In this case, it's a bi-wheel. And Lincoln shot, death of Lincoln. If you want to, you can export this chart by hitting export and it'll bring up, where on your machine do you want to export it, and we'll cancel it out. And you can take that, put it in an email, and send it to anyone else using Intrepid Level 2 or higher, whether they're on a Mac or a PC, doesn't matter. And they can import the chart using the import over here on the left, and then put it up on the screen, and it will save the preferences, what zodiac you're in, whether it's topocentric or geocentric, what house structure you're in, and what heavenly bodies were visible, and the time, and what type of chart. A whole chart basically will come right back up on the screen. So if you find something interesting about someone, or you think you've got the correct exact birth time of Lincoln figured out, you can send it to a friend, have them play with it.